Pretty Woman the Musical will always hold a special place right here in Chicago. We got a pre-Broadway run in 2018. Mikey Marmann here is part of the new cast, and thank you so much for your time today.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
The show is going to be coming back here March 12th through the 17th, and this is your first national tour, isn't it?
Yes, it is. This is my national tour debut.
How has that process been, as opposed to being in one city, and now you're taking the show, all across the country?
It's kind of crazy. It's really crazy how different every audience is. Everywhere you go, like you get different reactions to different moments. I mean, we've been in Canada, we've been in California, and everywhere is just a little different. It's really, really been awesome, and it's pretty cool living on the road and getting to live in all these hotels and see all these different places. It's been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, especially, with the show starting off in Chicago and then it went to New York and then you have this tour now, but it's also been in the UK, it's been in Spain. I
Hmm.
mean, worldwide audiences, know the
Yeah,
story, they love the story, and they cannot wait to see it on stage.
absolutely.
Let's go ahead and talk about your role, because you played the Jason Alexander character that we see in the film. Talk a little bit about preparing for Phillip.
Yeah, so it's really interesting because obviously Jason Alexander and I are very different. So I've sort of been able it's sort of been a blessing because I've been able to really put my own spin on the character. Like I'm not really taking anything from what he did. I was able to focus in on the script and be like, okay, this is what this looks like for me, as opposed to trying to take a performance that's already been done and put that up on stage. It's been really, really awesome.
Now, as far as the production goes, talk a little bit about the other castmates. What's it like when we get to see Vivian for the very first time, and especially Vivian in the red dress. There's so many of these iconic parts of the movie that are part of the show that people are so excited to see.
Yeah, well, Ellie Baker, who plays Vivian, is just fantastic in the role. She really brings her own spin to it while really making sure that what makes everyone love the movie and what makes everyone love Julia Roberts in that movie is there. And it's really fun when I joined the cast, I got to watch and like hear all the audience reactions to her coming out in the first outfit, and then the red dress, the polka dot dress. Like everyone gets really, really excited. You get to hear them, you get to hear the audience go crazy for some of the lines from the movie, the big, huge, the just all like the really iconic moments get such a big reaction. It's been cool.
Just since you mentioned that, give me a little bit of backstage information as far as like big mistake, big, huge. Like, does that get said a lot? Backstage. If there's a mistake
Oh,
or something happens, like.
constantly big, huge is in the vernacular for sure. Everything is big, huge around here. Everything.
As far as the tour coming to Chicago, it's going to be here during St. Patrick's Day weekend, so it's a very festive time here in our city. Has anybody else, in the cast been here before? Have they said anything as far as like, oh, we're excited to come here to Chicago?
Well, I'm not sure if anyone's been to Chicago before, but I can tell you that our cast is very excited to celebrate St. Patrick's Day on Sunday. We've only got one show, so we're ready to party with the city that night.
Yeah, and we dyed the river green, which is just a beautiful sight to,
Yes,
to go ahead and see. So definitely go. We need a cast photo. I want to see that on everyone's social media.
absolutely. We got to check that out. We'll get that up on the Pretty Woman Instagram.
Let's talk a little bit about that moment with Vivian with the jewelry box, because that's kind of one of those other moments that everybody waits for. And
Mhm.
being the movie geek that I am, learned that was an improv. It wasn't part of the script. It was an improvised part that Richard Gere had done to Julia Roberts. And I just thought it was so fascinating that it was this moment that wasn't necessarily part of the original
Mm.
idea, but became to be this iconic moment. What do you get to see as far as like maybe backstage, or maybe the audience reaction as far as like when that moment or certain things are coming up?
It's so interesting because that is always one of the biggest reactions in the show. They love it. It always comes to like a big laughter sort of moment, and it's really cool because I understudy Edward as well, so I've gotten to like practice it a little bit, work with the box, and it's interesting. It's just, I mean, it's so simple, but it's so effective in the moment of the show.
What's it like playing your character? Because you are the antagonist of
Mm.
the show, so it's like people are excited to see you, but then also people have their own feelings as far as that character. Like, what goes through your head when you're getting on stage every night?
Yeah, well, for one thing, I like to bring as much of myself to my characters as I possibly can, but there's quite a big divide here. I like to make sure that like the Stucky on stage is not the Mikey off stage. I always make it a point to before we go in for the scene towards the end. I'm sure you'll know what I'm talking about if you've seen the movie, where I always check in with Ellie, who plays Vivian, and make sure like we're cool, we're good friends. And so it's really just about creating that separation between this guy on stage who's doing some pretty awful things and then this guy off stage who just wants to have a good time.
As far as audiences dressing up, because a lot of people get into these shows, are you seeing that as far as on the tour? You know, whether in Canada or any parts of the U.S., are people dressing in red, or people dressing up that you can tell like you came here to see Pretty Woman?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember the first time I saw the show when I joined the cast, I was sitting very close to a woman in the red dress with the gloves, necklace, and everything. It's pretty much every city we go to, we get quite a few Vivians. Sometimes older, sometimes younger, all up the spectrum. It's been really, really cool how much people love this show and how much they want to bring themselves to the show. It's been cool to see.
You know, I was reading your bio, and I see you're into Spider-Man, you're into Star Wars, Disney Cruise Lines. I was like, why aren't we best friends? These are all the things that I love the most in life. But what was that Disney experience like for you, especially, you know, getting to be there, you know, for performing for people?
Yeah, well, it was really, really cool. I was a big Disney nerd growing up. My family used to go every year, and I took cruises as a kid on the ship that I ended up performing on. So it was a really, really full circle, like awesome experience for me. And Tangled is one of my favorites. I got to step into Flynn Rider's boots and Kristoff in Frozen. So it was just a really awesome experience. And like I was on the ship, so I was traveling around the world, getting to see all these different places. I got to go to Barbados. I got to go to Bermuda. I got to go to Europe, to Italy, Spain, Portugal, all these amazing places. It was really, really, it was an experience I wouldn't trade for anything. It was amazing.
Awesome, Mikey. Well, we can't wait for you to come to Chicago. Congratulations on your first national tour, and just the
Thank you
first
so
of many.
much.
We can't wait to keep talking to you every single time that you come back to our city. So let's make that a promise, okay?
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course, Pretty Woman the Musical coming to Chicago March 12th through 17th at the CIBC Theater. BroadwayInChicago.com for those tickets. And we'll see you in Chicago for St. Patrick's Day weekend.
All right, we'll see you soon.
Thank you.